Oh, man.
Now, wait a minute. Wait, that's not right.
We are rearranging the studio/office. And Alf, you know what's weird is I can't even find him. I can't find Alf. We've been moving some things around, and this isn't that big of a space, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I don't know if my kids grabbed him or something, but a little worrisome because the show doesn't run without Alf. We're still trying to figure out where he's going to go in the background, but we will figure it out, my friends. Today we have got a couple of interesting subjects. First off, does it feel like there's a big sell-off going on? Consolidation across the board. I'm not even just talking about sports cards, but I'm hearing it in the crypto space. I'm hearing it in other sides of the collectibles market. Pokemon kind of slowing down a little bit, or people starting to just consolidate, sell off. You know, there's a lot of people that might be up 2 times, 3 times, 5x, maybe 10x. And they're like, you know what? I think it's time to take some money off the table, and it feels like there's quite a bit of that going around. On the sports card side, we have seen this here recently, just over the last few days with P. Ryan Collection. He announced he had the big thing on his Instagram, RIP, the 100 card collection. He's going to break it up. He thinks he's going to keep some of the things, but he is selling off a pretty sizable portion of the 100 card collection. He has like the Tombstone 2020 to 2025. He says something like he's up like 10x or 15x or 18x or whatever it is, and he's looking to take some money off the table. Can't really blame him. Now, there's some other news about P. Ryan Collection that we're going to talk about. Actually, DPZ and I are going to break that down. We're scheduled to talk about that on Friday, so we'll deep dive and just kind of go into what happened there, the story, our side of the thing, because I've got a lot to say about it. I know that Dennis does too, DPZ. There's just, I don't know, there's just certain things within this hobby that you just can't do. And anyway, we will talk more about it on Friday, and that will probably go live on Monday. I think that'll be my Monday episode. So definitely keep an eye out on that. We've got to thank our channel partners, PSA. If you need 25 bucks off that first submission over there, it's the SCD25 code at the shipping and billing screen. Tell a friend, take advantage of $25 off. This hobby is not getting any cheaper, my friends, so make sure to take advantage. We have a new affiliate down in the video description and pinned comment, Supplies BCW. BCW Supplies, top holders, semi-rigids, bags, all the stuff you need. They even have comic book bags on there. If you've got other collectibles, they've got all sorts of things over there at BCW, big company. So make sure to check them out down in my video description. SCD10 gives you 10% off your order. And I believe they've got free shipping over 99 bucks over there at BCW. JustCollect.com, you got a collection to sell. You have no idea what to do with it. Just Collect will take care of you. They have a very easy appraisal site. I've got a little landing page link down in my video description as well as the pinned comments. If you need discounts, my friends, it's all there in my video description. The hobby discounts, the promo codes, it's right there. I'm like the retail me not of the sports card world. If you need a promo code, I'm here for you, my friends. So why does it feel like people are cashing out, selling off, especially when you've got other parts of the hobby where you've got the Kevin O'Learys of the world that are buying 12.9, $10 million, $5 million cards all over the place? But I feel like that they're just working in their own bucket up there. They're operating in their own little space. They're at the very tippity top of the mountain. But there's a lot of people that are in the middle of the mountain or down towards the bottom of the mountain, whatever, that are just looking, I think, to maybe sell off some of the stuff that they don't really love, or maybe they're getting out. That could be a possibility too. Maybe they've had enough of some of the shenanigans that you hear in this hobby. I don't think look, you can't blame people for looking around, seeing what's going on in certain spaces, and saying, you know what, this isn't really for me, or you know what, the part that is for me is just really low-end stuff where I don't have a lot of risk exposure. I don't have high-end sports cards. And you can't really blame people for deciding to do that. Now, with that said, there's still people spending a ton of money on expensive sports cards. So it's not as if everybody is selling off. There's a lot of people that are buying in and enjoying the space and all of that. I also think that there's a lot of people that are in the space that don't pay attention to any sort of social media and have no idea about a lot of the shenanigans that go on, whether that's on the pack opening, the new product side of things, or if it's on the auction side. You know, there's a lot of things to take into account in this hobby. I think some people are taking stock of these things. Also, the overall economy, tariffs, employment numbers, you know, the inflation numbers. I think people are just trying to figure out what to do. And especially during, the holiday season is usually a little bit of a slowdown period anyway, but maybe people are just reflecting a little bit more as we head into Halloween and we get into Thanksgiving and Christmas time. Not only do people have money to spend in other places, whether that's on family or travel or whatever, but then they're also just thinking like, you know what? How am I hobbying? I think it's kind of like the annual, like, what should I be doing in this space? I'm doing a little bit of this right now. To be honest, I'm trying to figure out what is my next move? I have a lot of the single cards that I like. I have a lot of sealed Pokemon. I'm still buying into some of that stuff. I have a lot of non-sports stuff that I really enjoy. And I'm trying to figure out, I guess, and that's kind of the fun part of collecting and just having kind of this bucket of cards, collectibles. You can always move in and out of different things. I'm not as good at selling as I am buying, but there are certain things, and I'm looking at kind of consolidating out of some things because I'm just looking at it like, do I really enjoy this? And I can put my money in other places. And so I'm looking at some of those options now. I think a lot of people are taking stock on what they have and then adjusting accordingly. But let me know your thoughts. I want to know in the comment section, are you selling off certain things? Are you looking to sell and then buy into something else? Like you've identified something else that you'd like to move into? Or is it kind of more of like, you know what, I got life stuff going on. We got to fix the fence in the backyard, or, we got to put a new septic system in, or we got to, whatever it is, there's a new roof's got to go in the house. There's just life things that are happening and you just have to just divert some of this cash to other stuff. All of that makes sense. This is just a hobby that people enjoy, but it's a luxury to be able to collect, buy, speculate on trading cards. It is. All right, so now we're going to flip over to Paul over at the NoOffseason.com show. He's got a couple of players that he is buying into and then a couple that he's selling off too. So we're going to talk about just what players does he like. A little bit of buy and sell talk from Paul over at NoOffseason.com. So we'll flip over to that conversation now. Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. It's another 20 Minutes with show. We got Paul Hickey that's back on from NoOffseason.com. He's got some highly controversial sports card, I don't want to call them picks, but he's got a couple players that he really likes. So we're going to talk about that. But first, Paul, how are you doing? And talk to us about your premium membership. And it sounds like you're making some changes. So I wanted to kind of give you the floor.
Dustin, good to see you and good to be back on the Sports Card Dad, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing great. At NoOffseason.com, we are a premium membership community. We help people make money flipping sports cards. We have a bunch of tools that spit out player rankings, sports card picks, top eBay auctions. And then we have some other tools like inventory tracker and different things like that. We have a card analyzer and predictor tool, which uses a certain amount of AI mixed with the human element of telling people, okay, here's what your card's worth. Here's what we think it'll grade. Here's what you should do with it. So it's a recommendations engine, and that's gone over really well. And we also have a community on a Discord that's for our paid members only, and a premium podcast where we allow our premium members to ask an unlimited amount of questions throughout the year, and we answer them and customize those answers in each user's scenario. So because we are growing, but we're still like a small subset of the hobby. The hobby is, I believe, to be easily tens of millions of people, and we are several hundred people as paid members at NoOffseason.com. What I've decided to do is cap the membership at only 500 total members. So we are going to be a completely closed community at 500 members, almost like a country club, Dustin.
Do we get a members only jacket?
So we might, you never know. You could get some cool members only.
That would actually be kind of rad.
Members only jacket.
It's like an 80s throwback, like a members only jacket. I would totally, yeah. All right. Well, maybe I have to become a member then.
I like that idea. I really do, because we've had members come up and say, can I get like a certificate or something? And, members only jacket would be way cooler than a certificate. So we might have to go that route. But yeah, man, I think I see it as like sort of an exclusive country club in a way. Now we're not like pompous and rude like some country club members are. We don't, it's not like we think we're better than you. It's just, I think at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, only a certain amount of people have access to our picks and to our information so that they can actually win. Because I think if we were to scale to a point where we had thousands of members, maybe some of those eBay auction snipes and different plays where we could be affecting the pop count of a PSA 10 on different types of stuff like Panini Instant or Topps Now. I mean, we really could get to a point where if we do scale up into the thousands of members, that we could start to affect the market a little bit negatively, and we don't want to do that. So we want to keep it small, keep it intimate. I don't need to be making millions of dollars on this. 500 members totally does it for me as a as a full-time job. And so we only, as of right now, as of this recording, we only have 100 membership spots left. And ever since I made that announcement on the Sports Card Strategy Show, we've got people signing up rapidly. So we want people to keep their membership on auto renew. We want new people to sign up. We're going to cap it at 500. And then there'll be a waiting list. I mean, more people will want to get in after 500. Some people, life will happen for them. They'll leave. Then we'll open it up to the waiting list people. So it's interesting little experiment, but so far so good.
Well, you set me up perfectly for my announcement that I'm going to make. So I'm going to get the leftovers that Paul, if you are 501 and you're like, man, where do I go? I want to be a part of an exclusive club. The Sports Card Dad, no off season. It'll be like off season, like the other off season. Totally ripping off.
There is an
Paul.
off season at Sports Card Dad.
Totally ripping off Paul's idea. We'll get all the overflow for all the people that are rejected by NoOffseason.com. No, I'm kidding. I like this idea because it does, and also too when you're trying to service people and give people one-on-one attention. I guess you could have a few thousand people, but man, that then you're taking calls at midnight or whatever, or answering people on email. I mean, that makes sense.
Want to do a good job for everybody. So thanks for letting me talk about that. Everybody, if you're interested, head over to NoOffseason.com. You can use the promo code SportsCardDad actually, and you can save 25%.
When if you're buying appliances, if you're buying a car on the application, if there's ever a promo code anywhere on the internet, put SCD25 or Sports Card Dad. Just try it. You might get money off. You never know.
Love it.
All right, man. Well, you have some hot takes, and unfortunately, I'm going to kind of tease the first player that you're going to talk about as one that you like. I actually got to see him up close and personal because I was in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago to watch the Patriots beat my Saints, and Drake Maye was there kind of doing his thing. He looked really sharp. Now, the Saints don't look sharp this year, so I think I might have looked sharp throwing on New Orleans that day. But regardless, Drake Maye, I'm going to kind of spoil that one for you. He's a guy that's on your radar right now. Do you want to talk about him first?
Yes, and the reason he's on my radar is because I want everyone to sell him. We are recording this on Tuesday, October 21st. So I know it's going to come out, shortly thereafter, if not right on Tuesday, October 21st. So he is coming off a record-breaking Patriot week where Scott Hansen of NFL Red Zone couldn't stop talking about the fact that he had broken Tom Brady's passing completion percentage record in a game. He went 21 for 23, I believe, something like that, 92%. Franchise record. Tom Brady's best was 88%. It was against the Tennessee Titans. Here's the thing though, Dustin. His cards, he has more than 80 cards that are all up $50 or more in the last 2 weeks. His Prism Silver is also up almost $400. So it's 69% in PSA 10. And he's really he's the only second year quarterback whose Prism Silver PSA 10 is up enough dollars where you're actually going to make money on him right now. So he is the only one out of the 6 from last year. So Penix, Nix, McCarthy, Daniels, Williams, and Maye. Maye is the only one out of those 6 quarterbacks whose Prism Silver PSA 10 has become unscathed through the midseason dip. But here's the deal. The holiday dip is coming. Yeah. And my flag plant is that you should sell Drake Maye now. And if you really like him, if you really think you're good at picking the Super Bowl winner in December, like a lot of sports card people think that they're good at that, then you can buy back in December, because I guarantee you that his Prism Silver PSA 10 is going to be available for less than the $894 that it's currently going for. It was going for $528 2 weeks ago. So this is the perfect example of a performance spike. Drake Maye is unscathed through the midseason dip. It's rare, but it happens. Now is the time to sell him. You can buy back in. And if you really think the Patriots are going to make a run at the Super Bowl or something like that, then you can buy back in December, and then you can see his card prices go back up if that's your cup of tea.
Yeah, it's really interesting. NFL quarterback prospecting, I think, is probably the trickiest. Even, I mean, maybe up against baseball card prospecting, because they're so young when you buy in, you never know who's going to make it, who's just going to flop. But man, it just feels like, look at all the hobby darlings over the last couple of years. Jaden Daniels hurt, CJ Stroud, think about CJ Stroud. I mean, comes out on fire, actually, had a little bit of a sophomore slump, but still went and won a playoff game last year. But like this year, nothing, like forgotten. And that's such a common story with these guys. I kind of wonder if people, they just bounce around, like they get out of Jaden Daniels and they jump into Drake Maye, or, like who's, and I wonder if that's what, why they're volatile like that kind of mid-season or like early to mid-season. You're right, though. I feel like usually what I do whenever I've been QB prospecting is once we hit Thanksgiving, then you start to kind of see which teams are fading, like my New Orleans Saints, for example. They're already fading. We're not even in November yet. But you're already seeing like, okay, who's not a playoff team most likely, or who's a great quarterback that's just on a bad team, and then you can kind of like start speculating for like March sales, like I feel like, November, December are good. As you mentioned, like December is a good buying month usually when guys are kind of falling off. I guess the only thing I could save Drake Maye is if the Patriots just kind of continue to roll on and people just hold. People are like, you know what? I'm just going to hold through. Maybe they have some money in them and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to hold, see what happens. And
I do think that's a good point. I think that will happen. I think people will hold Drake Maye, and then I think what will inevitably happen is the holiday dip. Which I mentioned and you just mentioned. Sports card prices, whether we like it or not, and we can pontificate about the reasons why it happens. Some people think it's because people spend more time with family over the holidays, or they spend so much money on holiday gifts that they don't want to spend it on sports cards. Whatever it is, sports card prices go down pretty much across the board in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or between Thanksgiving and New Year's. So I think even though if people hold Drake Maye, I still think it affects his card prices because there won't be as many comps on the market due to people holding him for the playoffs, which will bring down buyer confidence. And so then what are those cards actually worth? He's going to have to perform well in the playoffs for people who are buying him right now to make money on him. And so that's why I'm concerned. I think, I'm a take the profits type of guy. So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that could have gotten his cards 14 days ago for $528. I'm talking about his Prism Silver PSA 10, but the patterns are there throughout all of his cards right now. It's the same thing. You're making money on Drake Maye if you sell him now, and that's my game. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, totally. And you're right. I mean, a lot of times the buying window can be small. Your selling window can be small. You might have like 2 weeks where you can really kind of maximize, and then weird stuff happens and those prices start falling, and then you could have sold, and maybe you're back to your cost basis, almost, if you don't sell in time. So yeah, no, I totally get it. The modern day active QB flipping game it's a flip game. It's not a buy and hold game typically.
100%.
I got you. Okay, so let's talk about, we talked about Drake Maye. What's the second player that you had on your on the docket?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the holiday dip, and I'm actually thinking of doing some kind of a live stream during December with Lefty, my guy at the Sports Card Strategy Show. And we're going to call it the holiday dip party. And we're going to have chips and dip or whatever. We're going to do a live stream, and we're going to buy cards live on the air, because I have been waiting for the following athletes to start to really, really spend a lot of money on them. And in no particular order, but I will start with Jaden Daniels, because I do think while Drake Maye is kind of crescendoing right now, I think Jaden Daniels, you mentioned him a minute ago, he's a player that has come down, since the season started. And not just because of his injuries, but I think because of just also supply and demand of his cards. The demand was so high for his cards, but as more supply has hit the market, both of graded and of raw cards that have been ripped out of packs, the demand hasn't been able to keep up, and he hasn't been able to keep up with his expectations. And I think that's fair, because he had unrealistic expectations, I think, heading into this year. And he hit that CJ Stroud type slump, unfortunately, that you also hit on. Patrick Mahomes is another player. I think. I
Wait,
mean, it's
before you go on too, let me
yeah.
throw in there too for Jaden Daniels. I think you also had like a perfect storm of, like Prism comes out and everyone's trying to grade as quickly as they can to sell. I'm just using Prism as an example. But if I remember correctly, the gem rate numbers when they're looking at PSA data, I think Jaden Daniels was the highest or the most graded player in football cards for like June and July. So, and I know that there's been a little bit of a wait, at PSA. So, but that lag of cards coming back now, what's probably happening is not only is he not really performing, he's injured, and stuff happens in football, but now all the supplies coming back from PSA, and then they're like, oh shit, I got to get off of this. I got to move off of it. I mean, maybe some people are holding, just trying to get through this, and but there are also some people that are probably just cutting bait and like, what, I graded these cards, I'm just going to sell them.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, and Jaden Daniels is kind of the opposite of Drake May right now. I mean, his Prism Silver PSA 10 and PSA 9 are both down $115 and $53 respectively. I mean, he's kind of down across the board. The raw version of that card's down $32, and it just kind of goes on and on. So I think now could be a good time to start to bid on some Jaden Daniels auctions, but I really think waiting until between Thanksgiving and New Year's, or maybe even as early as like Halloween, which is coming up, could be a really good time to start buying Jaden Daniels. Just know what you're going to do with those cards, right? Like know if you're going to grade them, or if you're going to, like to your point, sell them in March when there's some off-season hype, or sell them next August. Just kind of know what your strategy is there. But I think he's legit. I just don't think he was able to live up to the expectations so that the demand could keep up with the supply that we've been talking about.
But okay, so and then Mahomes, are you all of a sudden Mahomes has got his receiving core back? It started the season and everyone's banged up or suspended or whatever. Now you're starting to see him kind of get his sea legs a little bit, and now he looks like Patrick Mahomes again. What's your take on Mahomes? He was expensive for a long time. To be honest with you, I haven't been following his market because I just feel like for years it was all kind of priced in. I never really felt there was like much of a Mahomes dip for me to like buy into the cards. Like, what have you seen there?
I've seen the same thing. I just think one lesson that I've learned over the last few years is I've got to diversify my portfolio with more players like Patrick Mahomes, like Shohei Ohtani, like LeBron James, potentially just Michael Jordan, just players that are just really never going to go down, to your point. So there may be some dips in Patrick Mahomes, but they're really few and far between, and they're not very massive dips. And he's probably never going to plummet in value. He's probably going to be one of those athletes that's going to be a pretty safe pick. And so that's actually why I'm picking him. And again, I think the holiday dip period that we've talked about, that sort of 4 to 6 week period that's coming up really, really soon, I'm saving my cash flow, my bankroll to bid on some Patrick Mahomes cards, because the unique thing about him is I don't know that his prices will explode in the playoffs or if he wins another Super Bowl, but they should just gradually increase over the next couple of years, and certainly into, I think, the end of his career. I think he's going to be a guy where his cards just continuously rise. And so it's more of just a portfolio diversification play with Mahomes. So I don't know if you have a take on that before I kind of move through. I'm going to go to basketball next. I've just got a few basketball players I want to hit on, but what's your take on Mahomes?
Yeah, I'm kind of it's weird. It's kind of like Shohei Ohtani. Like when you're thinking of active players, you have to be really careful. But I feel like if both those guys retire tomorrow, they're always going to have a fan base. They're always going to have collectability. They're always going to be relevant. Chiefs fans are going to always collect Mahomes. And there's a ton of Chiefs fans, frankly. So he's one of those. It's kind of like Steph Curry in the Bay Area. Like he's always going to be that guy. And I think Mahomes is a type of guy that'll stay with the Chiefs for his whole career. I don't see him, maybe at the tail end, like Montana goes to the Chiefs, or maybe on the last couple of years he goes somewhere else, but I wouldn't be shocked if he played for the Chiefs his entire career. Tom Brady played, in New England for 20 years or whatever before he went to the Bucks, and that solidified his legacy in that area. They will always collect. There'll always be collectors in New England for him. So yeah, of course, it depends on the price points and everything, but that's kind of the fun part of the strategy, is figuring out which cards and all that. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you're never going to have to convince anyone about a Patrick Mahomes card. I think that's the other thing. And you want to have some of those guys in your portfolio. And yeah, to your point, I think, I gloss over this sometimes. I really only buy in eBay auctions. Like I literally only buy in eBay auctions. That's just me. That's how you're able to go into a period like the holiday dip, or even, sometimes in June there's a dip. Sometimes, because there's no football really happening in June. So there's different periods throughout the year where you can buy guys like Patrick Mahomes. Now, Ohtani, I'm glad you brought that up because he's another player. Before I get into basketball, I do want to buy some Ohtani. Obviously, right now, coming off of the 3 home run game where he also had 10 strikeouts and he's going into the World Series, I don't believe now is the time to buy Ohtani because I think you're going to pay the biggest premium on him. I don't think his prices are necessarily going to go down much, but I do think there's, just like there will be for every other athlete, you should be able to get better deals on Shohei Ohtani cards during the holiday dip, possibly even during January, a little bit of January as well. And again, the play there, I think, is to buy in auctions and make sure, my advice is to make sure for both of those guys, have the authenticity guarantee filter on and have the auction filter on when you're searching for their cards, and just try to snipe and get good deals because you can make money that way.
All right, we've got a wrap here in the next 5 minutes. So let's kind of fire through the basketball. Let's see what you've got here on the basketball side.
Well, same strategy, but I just like LeBron, Luka, Anthony Edwards, and I'll throw Caitlin Clark into the mix because her prices have dipped quite a bit due to her injury. Yep. So
I'll leave it at that. Some of those. I'm holding for the, but she's a classic. I feel like springtime bump, like preseason type excitement around, I'm kind of hoping that she has kind of like the slim Zion Williamson effect from 2022. Like, look at him, he's jacked. And the prices go up preseason. I'm kind of hoping for a little bit for Clark. I'll hold on to some of her stuff, but I'll definitely sell some of it, in the spring.
Same here. Caitlin's back. Let's go. Yeah, totally.
Cool. All right, man. So LeBron, Caitlin Clark, Luka Doncic. Yeah, that could be an interesting one too. He's kind of like Mahomes that hasn't done anything yet as far as accolades go, but his prices just haven't sunk the way that you would think that they would have. I don't know. I think if he doesn't really get over the hump here over the next couple of years, then there could be a nice clearance on Luka Doncic stuff.
Call me Captain Obvious, but I really like all those names. I think you're not going to be upset if you have those players in your portfolio and you buy them at the right time.
PSA upcharges. That'll be the next conversation. We're going to go back and forth and battle about PSA, me and Paul, on the next show. So make sure that you tune in for that.
In the meantime, I'm waiting, PSA. I'm waiting on my submissions. Where are you? Come on now. Thanks, Dustin.
Hey, man. Yeah, thanks for coming back on, and we'll see you again next month.
Sounds great. Have a good one, everybody.